Hey there, tonight we begin with something hot, something heavy, and something that, honestly, might make you grateful you weren't born a crocodile. Because while most animals struggle when they first enter the world, few begin life trapped in a hard shell, buried under a mound of rotting vegetation, surrounded by dozens of siblings with predators waiting above and a race against time to escape before the heat cooks you alive. You've seen crocodiles in wildlife documentaries still as statues, eyes just above the water, ruling their swamps like ancient kings. But the truth? Being born a crocodile kinda sucks. It's humid, it's cramped. The first thing you ever breathe might be the smell of mud, decay, and your own fear. And even if you make it out, the world waiting for you is full of bigger mouths, many of them belonging to your own kind. But don't worry, you're not here to fight. You're here to rest. So, before we start, take a moment to like the video, but only if you genuinely enjoy what I do here. And let me know in the comments where you're listening from and what time it is for you. I always love seeing who's drifting off to sleep all around the world. Now, dim the lights. Maybe let a soft hum or the faint sound of water fill your space. Let your breath slow, and let's slip beneath the warm, dark surface of tonight's journey together. Chapter 1. Breaking out of the egg. You are not born. You are buried. Before your eyes ever open, before you even know what light is, you exist inside a shell no bigger than your palm, sealed under a mound of rotting plants and damp earth. The air here is thick, warm, heavy. Every breath is slow work, filtered through layers of wet vegetation that smell like mud, decay, and something sweet that has been left too long in the sun. You have never seen your mother, but you feel her in the faint tremors that pass through the ground above you. She is there somewhere lying still at the edge of the nest, guarding the heap of heat and shadows where you and your siblings wait. The world around you is soundless, except for your own heartbeat, slow, steady, constant. But today, something changes. The air shifts. The warmth has built into something sharper, more pressing. You can feel your muscles twitch in ways they haven't before. Instinct, written into your bones long before you knew you had bones, begins to take over. Your snout presses forward, tapping the hard wall in front of you. It doesn't give. You push harder, again and again, until the dull thud of your effort echoes through your skull. Then a sound you have never heard, a faint, dry crack. It is not just you. Around you, in every direction, tiny cracks answer back the muffled struggles of brothers and sisters you have never met, but have always been with. The nest comes alive with vibrations, each one a silent cry. We are leaving. Your body is small, barely the length of a human hand, but built for this. At the tip of your snout is a sharp, temporary tool, an egg tooth. You jab, scrape, and twist until a piece of shell splinters away. A breath of new air seeps in hotter, thicker, rich with the scent of life and danger. Above you, predators wait. You don't know their names, monitor lizards, snakes, wild pigs, but you know the danger. It's older than thought, older than memory, part of the crocodile's code. The world you're about to enter will not welcome you. The shell gives way in a sudden collapse, and you spill into darkness, not free yet, but surrounded by damp earth. You push upward, claws scraping against the walls of the nest, moving toward the faintest change in the air. Every inch is a climb through soft rot and broken eggshells. Your body is slick with moisture. Your legs tremble. Somewhere above, a shadow shifts. The ground vibrates with a low rumble. It's her. Your mother. She has been waiting, still as stone, for this moment. She digs carefully, pulling clumps of earth away with jaws that could crush bone, yet somehow do not touch you. And then, light. Not the clean light of an open sky, but a hot, filtered glow pressing through tangled grass. The air is wet and smells alive. Mud, algae, insects, the faint musk of your own kind. You blink, your eyes adjusting to a world where nothing is still except the surface of the water in the distance. The journey has begun, but in this world, birth is not a beginning, it's a test. Chapter 2. First breath of the swamp. The air hits you like a wave you didn't see coming. It's not the thin, stale breath from inside the shell. This is heavy air, full, wet, clinging to every inch of your skin. You inhale, and the swamp moves into you. It tastes like mud and rotting leaves, like something that has been growing and dying in the same place for 100 years. The smell is thick enough that it feels solid, almost chewable, and it coats the inside of your throat. It's overwhelming, and yet, in some way you don't understand, it feels right. Your mother's massive head is still close, her yellow eyes steady, unblinking. The ridges of her skull glisten in the light, the texture rough like cracked stone. She doesn't speak, doesn't comfort. Crocodiles don't need words. Her presence is enough. You are in her world now, and she is your only shield between life and death. Around you, your siblings break through their shells. Their tiny bodies squirm in the sunlight, scales catching the light in shades of olive and bronze. The sound is constant now, soft chirps, almost bird-like, but sharper, quicker. Those cries are instinct too, a call to the mother, a signal that her young are ready to move. The heat presses down on your back, thick and unbroken. You are not in the water yet, but you can smell it. Fresh water, warmed by the sun, carrying the scent of fish, frogs, and the strange oily smell of the plants that float on its surface. Every breath draws you toward it, even though the ground between you and the shore is alive with movement. Insects hum low, weaving in and out of the tall reeds. A splash echoes somewhere close, followed by the soft drip of water falling back into itself. Beyond that, a sound you'll never forget, the deep, distant bellow of another crocodile. Not your mother. A warning, a claim. This territory is taken, and every creature within hearing distance knows it. Your body trembles, not with fear exactly. Fear is too slow, too thoughtful. This is sharper, pure survival. Your muscles are new, but they already know how to move when the air shifts, when the ground vibrates, when shadows pass overhead. Predators are close. They always are. The first step is a struggle. Your legs sink slightly into the soft earth, claws gripping at the mud. Each movement is slow, careful. The sunlight is too bright at first, a hot, white glare bouncing off the surface of the water ahead. But as your eyes adjust, shapes start to form. A dragonfly hovers just above the water, its wings a blur. A cluster of reeds sways without wind, something moving beneath them. A flash of silver breaks the surface and disappears just as quickly. You are drawn forward, step by unsteady step, toward the water. It is more than thirst. It is something older, deeper. Crocodiles are built for water long before they ever touch it. Your body knows that floating will be easier than walking, that the coolness will lift the weight of the heat pressing down on you. But you are not free to rush. Every inch is measured, because here, the space between land and water is the most dangerous place in the swamp. This is where predators wait: herons with beaks like spears, snakes that move without a sound, fish with jaws sharp enough to split you in half before you ever feel the bite. Even the sky can be dangerous, the shadow of a hawk sliding silently over the grass. Still, you move, slowly, carefully. Your mother shifts beside you, her huge body sliding through the grass with almost no sound at all. Every muscle in her frame is controlled, her tail cutting a narrow path toward the water. You and your siblings follow in the trail she leaves behind, the crushed grass still warm from her passing. At the edge of the shore, the air changes again. The heat is still there, but it is softened by a thin layer of cool rising from the surface. The water is brown, the bottom invisible, the line between safety and danger blurred beyond recognition. You stand there, chest heaving, nostrils flaring, and for the first time, you breathe in fully. Not just because you can, but because this is yours now. The smell, the sound, the heat, the weight. It will be with you for the rest of your life. And without warning, your mother moves. Her jaws open wide, and she lowers her head toward you. For a moment, you think it's over before it begins, but instead, she scoops you gently into her mouth. You are surrounded by the damp, warm darkness, pressed against the curved wall of her tongue. The world outside disappears, replaced by the steady rhythm of her breathing. She is taking you to the water, and once you touch it, you will never truly leave it again. Chapter 3. Into the water. The first thing you feel is weightlessness. It happens the moment your mother lowers her head into the shallows and opens her jaws. Warm water slips in around you, wrapping itself over your scales like a second skin. The heat of the air is gone, replaced by a softer, cooler warmth that seeps into every part of you. For a moment, you float there suspended, caught between her teeth and the open world, until her head tilts forward and you slide free. The water closes over your body, and you sink just enough to feel the pull of gravity again. Tiny air bubbles rise past your eyes, twisting and breaking the surface above you. They shimmer briefly before disappearing into ripples. This is where you were always meant to be. Your body changes instantly in the water. On land, every step felt like a fight against the heat and the mud. Here, movement is effortless. Your legs tuck in against your body without thought, and your tail, the strongest part of you, even now, begins to move in slow, powerful sweeps. Each motion sends you gliding forward, smooth and silent. Crocodiles are born swimmers. You don't have to learn, you just do. The water smells alive. It carries every detail, the faint copper tang of fish, blood from a recent kill, the musk of submerged plants, the sharp, almost metallic scent of the mud beneath you. Every vibration travels through it, touching your skin in ways air never could. Above the surface, the world is blinding, harsh light bouncing off every ripple, insects skimming and landing. But under here, it's muted, soft, greenish-brown shadows shift in layers. You can hear your siblings splashing nearby, their small bodies sending tiny shockwaves through the stillness. Your lungs remind you they are new, that breathing is still something you need to think about. You rise slowly, nostrils breaking the surface before anything else. This is how crocodiles breathe, just the tip of your snout exposed, eyes and ears still hidden beneath a thin sheet of water. The air here is hotter than the water, and it fills your lungs with the swamp. Again, the heavy perfume of algae and decay. But it's easier to take now. The water softens everything. Your mother drifts close by, her head just above the surface, eyes locked on the bank. She barely moves, yet she seems to control the entire stretch of shoreline. Every ripple, every shadow, she knows. She has done this for decades, and you are now under her rule. You learn your first truth in the water. Crocodiles are made for patience. They can wait hours without moving, hidden just beneath the surface, their bodies conserving energy, while the rest of the world forgets they're there. But you are not yet patient. You are young, restless, drawn toward every flicker and shift in the shallows. Small fish dart in and out of the reeds, their bodies flashing silver in the sunlight. The urge to chase is instinct, but your tail swishes too hard, too fast, and the fish scatter before you can get close. Hunting will come later. For now, survival is your only task. And survival means learning the boundaries of your new home. You explore in short bursts, swimming a few meters before circling back toward your mother's shadow. The water changes as you move, sometimes smooth, sometimes thick with floating debris. Bits of leaves drift past you, some stained brown, others pale green. A stick brushes your side, and your body stiffens until you realize it isn't alive. The bottom here is soft, a mix of mud and silt that shifts under the slightest movement. When you settle on it, you can disappear, almost completely, just your nostrils exposed. This is the crocodile's gift, to become invisible, even in the open. Your siblings gather near you, some half floating, others clambering briefly onto your mother's broad back before slipping into the water again. The air fills with the faint sound of chirping, not the desperate cries from the nest, but softer, almost content. Communication doesn't stop after hatching. It simply changes, becoming a quiet thread that ties you to your family in the first weeks of life. Overhead, the light begins to shift. Afternoon settles over the swamp, deepening the colours, thickening the heat. The surface reflects the sky in broken fragments, pieces of blue tangled with drifting green plants. Somewhere, far off, a splash echoes heavy, deliberate. It reminds you that this place belongs to more than just your family. And not everything here is willing to share. Still, for now, the water cradles you. It lifts your body, slows your heart, lets you rest without fear. You are home. Chapter 4. First Night in the Swamp. Night in the swamp doesn't arrive like a curtain dropping. It seeps in slowly, thickening the air until the light fades without you noticing. The first sign is not darkness, but sound. The heat of the day loosens its grip, and the swamp exhales. Insects take over the air with a constant, trembling buzz, so dense it becomes its own kind of silence, a blanket of noise that hides everything else. Somewhere behind it, frogs add their voices, deep, resonant croaks that carry across the still water. The sky changes next. The glare of the afternoon sun softens, dipping low enough to turn the water's surface into gold. Every ripple shimmers for a moment before dissolving into shadow. The air cools, but only slightly. Here in the wet heat, night is not a relief, just a change of colour. You float in the shallows, your nostrils just breaking the surface, your body still as driftwood. This is your first night outside the egg, the first time the darkness belongs to you. And darkness in the swamp is not empty, it's alive. Shadows slide over the water as birds pass overhead, heading toward roosts hidden deep in the mangroves. A heron lands nearby, folding its long legs into the mud with barely a ripple. It lowers its head toward the shallows, eyes locked on a silver flicker beneath the surface. In one swift movement, its beak darts down, piercing the water, but when it rises again, it's empty. You watch without moving. Stillness is safety. Stillness is survival. Somewhere beyond your vision, a splash echoes heavy, deliberate, followed by the faint, swirling churn of something big turning in the water. The sound is low, powerful, and close enough to raise a quiet ripple that reaches your snout. Your mother doesn't react. She's heard it before. She knows the rhythm of this place. You stay close to her shadow. Even in the dark, her shape is unmistakable, broad, armoured, unmoving. She is the centre of your world, the one anchor in the shifting water. Other creatures here may rule in different ways, with speed, with teeth, with numbers, but she rules with presence. The air changes again. The scent of mud deepens, rich and heavy, mixed with the faint sweetness of rotting plants. Somewhere a fish has died, and the water carries its scent like a message. Crocodiles smell through specialized glands in their mouths, and even at your size, your senses are sharp enough to notice. Movement catches your eye small, fast, darting between patches of floating vegetation. It's one of your siblings, breaking the surface for air before slipping back under. He chirps once, a high, sharp sound, and vanishes into the greenish-brown below. The sound is not for you. It's for your mother, a signal that he is still here, still safe. Your eyes adjust slowly. Crocodiles have excellent night vision, better than many of the creatures that share this water. The world takes on a greenish tint, shapes sharpening even as the light fades. Reflections on the surface become faint halos, each ripple carrying the memory of its cause. Beneath you, the mud feels cooler now, smoother. The water holds you in place with gentle pressure. the way a hand might rest on your back. The constant hum of insects becomes background, not something you hear, but something you are inside of. A moth flutters low over the surface, drawn by the faint silver light of the moon. It lands on the water for only a second before vanishing into the mouth of a fish. The ripples fade almost instantly, swallowed by the night. Somewhere far off, a splash is followed by silence. Then another, and another. The pattern is irregular, not the work of wind or falling branches, but of something alive, feeding. You learn something tonight. In the swamp, nothing moves without reason. Every sound is either the hunter or the hunted. The night deepens. The sky now holds more stars than you've ever seen, though you've never seen them before. They shimmer in the gaps between leaves, mirrored in broken fragments across the water. The moon sits low, its pale light just enough to paint the ridges of your mother's back. And here, in the shadow of her body, you feel safe enough to let your muscles loosen. You let the water take your weight. You drift without thought, without movement, listening to the soft lap of water against the bank. You are still awake, but the swamp has begun to rock you. Chapter 5. The first hunt you witness. The swamp is never still for long. Even when the surface looks like glass, something is moving beneath it. Tonight, you learn just how quickly that glass can break. You're resting in the shallows, pressed low in the water beside your mother. The night hum is steady insects trilling in layers, frogs calling in deep, throaty pulses, the distant splash of fish breaking the surface. The air is thick and warm, scented with wet earth, algae, and the faint tang of decaying plants. Then, it happens. A new sound cuts through the steady rhythm, faint at first, then clearer. Ripples, small ones, too light to be your mother, too quick to be the slow drift of leaves. You lift your head slightly, just enough for your eyes to clear the surface. Their movement. A young heron wades along the shallows, its thin legs moving with careful precision, each step tested before the foot settles into the mud. Its neck coils and uncoils, in slow rhythm, head angled down toward the water, searching. The bird doesn't see you, or your mother. She hasn't moved, not an inch. From a distance, she's just another low mound of mud, half hidden under floating plants. Her eyes are barely visible above the waterline. Only you, pressed against her side, can feel the faint tension in her muscles. The heron steps closer. The water between you and it is shallow, littered with sticks, leaves, and patches of algae that break the surface into shifting fragments. You watch her eyes. They're locked on the bird, but they don't flicker or dart. They're steady, patient, ancient. The heron dips its beak into the water, pulling up a small fish. It shakes its head once, swallows, then takes another slow step forward. The ripples spread toward you, brushing against your snout, and then the water erupts. It doesn't happen in stages. There's no warning, no build-up. 1 second your mother is still, the next she is pure motion, an explosion of muscle and jaws. The sound is not what you expect. It's not loud, it's heavy. A deep, resonant whump of water collapsing inward as her body surges forward. The heron barely reacts before her jaws close around it. The splash is over almost as soon as it begins. She pulls back, the bird pinned between her teeth, its wings folding unnaturally against its body. There's no struggle, not for long. A quick shift of her head, a squeeze, and it's silent. The water smooths out again. The surface calms. The night hum returns, as if nothing happened. But you are still watching her. Not because of the kill, you've already seen death here, even in your short life, but because of the way she returns to stillness so quickly, as if she had never moved at all. Crocodiles are ambush predators. They can wait hours, even days, for the perfect strike. They don't waste energy chasing. They choose their moment, and when it comes, they commit everything in one instant. You feel her body shift as she adjusts her grip, the heron now just a dark shape between her teeth. She doesn't eat immediately. She drifts away from the spot of the attack, moving to deeper water. Its instinct feeding in shallows can draw unwanted attention. You follow in her shadow. The moon catches the edges of her back as she glides, the faintest trail of bubbles marking her path. When she finally stops, she tilts her head slightly, letting the bird's limp body sink into her mouth. There's no chewing crocodiles can't chew. She shifts the bird until it's positioned head first, then with a slow, deliberate movement, swallows it whole. You can hear it. A low, sliding sound, muffled by water. Then silence. She settles again. The hunt is over. The swamp closes around you, returning to its slow, heavy rhythm. The ripples fade. The insects sing. The frogs call. And you, for the first time, understand something. In this place, survival isn't about running faster or fighting harder. It's about patience. It's about being ready when the moment comes. You sink lower into the water, letting it cover your back. The world is calm again, but you know it can change in an instant. For now, though, you drift. The night swallows you back into its warmth. Chapter 6. The first encounter with another predator. The swamp feels different tonight. It's not something you can see, not something you can hear. It's a weight in the water, a subtle pressure against your skin, the kind that tells you something else is moving out there. The air is still, heavy with heat, no wind, no ripples. Even the frogs sound cautious, their calls shorter, less frequent. The usual background hum is thinner, like the swamp itself is holding its breath. You are floating just beneath the surface, eyes and nostrils barely breaking through. The moonlight is faint, just enough to paint the edges of the water in silver, just enough to see the outlines of floating plants shifting lazily. Your mother is close, her body a solid wall beside you. You can feel the slow, steady rhythm of her breathing. She hasn't moved in a long time, but you know she's alert. Her stillness is never empty. Then you hear it. Not loud, not sharp, just different. A ripple that doesn't match the natural sway of the swamp. You turn your head slightly, just enough to bring it into view. At first, it's just a shadow, a low, gliding shape cutting through the water with quiet certainty. The size hits you first, bigger than you, not as big as your mother, but close enough to be dangerous. It's another crocodile, older, stronger. His back rises higher above the surface than yours, jagged with scutes that catch faint moonlight. His movements are slow, deliberate. Not the aimless drifting of a croc at rest. This is the kind of approach that means something. Your mother shifts ever so slightly. Not much, just enough to place herself between you and him. The male stops a few body lengths away. He floats there, eyes fixed, the water around him perfectly still. No sound, no splash, just two predators staring across the narrow gap of dark water. You feel the tension rise in the space between them. It's not a fight, not yet. Crocodiles don't waste energy without reason. But in the silence, you understand there is an unspoken rule here. This is her territory, and you are under her protection. The male blinks slowly, a thin membrane sliding sideways across his eye. Then, without warning, he sinks lower, disappearing beneath the surface. You wait. You search for the trail of bubbles, the faint movement of plants, but there's nothing. The water is a black mirror again. Your mother doesn't move. She knows better than to chase. She just stays there, muscles coiled, her breathing slow but controlled. You press closer against her side, feeling the tension in her body. Long minutes pass. The night sounds begin to return, first a single frog call, then another, until the swamp's hum fills the air again. But the weight in the water lingers. Somewhere out there, he's still moving. When your mother finally eases forward, you follow her without question. The encounter is over, but the message is clear. In this place, you are never the only predator. The swamp is old. It belongs to no one for long. You sink lower, letting the warm water close over your back, eyes dipping below the surface. The danger has passed, for now. The current takes you both deeper into the dark. Chapter 7. The First Big Storm. It begins with heat. Not the kind you notice right away, the slow kind. The kind that builds hour after hour until the air feels thick enough to drink. The swamp is heavy with it. Every leaf hangs still. Every ripple feels sluggish. Even the insects sound different, their calls drawn out and lazy. You are resting in the shallows beside your mother, half hidden under a mat of floating plants. The water is warm, too warm, warm enough that your body starts to feel slow. You blink more often, not from tiredness, but from the weight of the air pressing on you. Then, the wind changes. It starts high in the trees. A faint rustle that doesn't match the rest of the swamp's stillness. The sound spreads, moving across the canopy like a slow, rolling sigh. You lift your head slightly, just enough to catch the shift in scent. The air smells sharper, now wet, electric, alive. Your mother moves. Not much, just enough to lift her head and taste the air. She knows what's coming. The first flash of light comes without sound. A thin, white blade cutting through the sky above the trees. For a moment, the swamp is bright, every branch, every ripple, every drop of water etched in silver. Then darkness swallows it again. A few seconds later, the sound follows. Not a single crack, but a deep, rolling growl that seems to come from everywhere at once. The sky, the water, even the ground beneath you. The rain doesn't start all at once. It begins with single drops, thick and heavy, each one leaving a perfect circle on the water's surface. Then a few more, then more, until the swamp is alive with motion. The surface breaks into 1,000 tiny explosions. The floating plants bob and shift. The air cools in seconds. And the sharp, clean scent of fresh rain fills your nostrils. You sink lower, letting the water cover your eyes. From here, the storm looks different. The rain turns into thousands of tiny needles, striking the surface above you, breaking the light into shimmering, fractured patterns. Your mother drifts forward, moving toward deeper water. You follow, the sound of the rain above you fading into a muffled hiss. Under here, it's calm. The storm belongs to the surface. But every so often, you rise just enough to break through, to feel the rain on your head, to watch it dance on the water. It's cooler than the swamp water, and each drop feels like it carries a piece of the sky with it. Then, the wind picks up. The tall grasses bend and sway, some flattening entirely as gusts rush over them. Branches creak and snap in the distance. The swamp's usual rhythm is gone, replaced by the constant roar of rain, the low rumble of thunder, and the restless movement of the wind. The water begins to rise. It doesn't happen quickly, but you can feel it, the ground beneath you softening, the current shifting, the edges of your familiar territory blurring. Places that were once shallow are now deep enough to hide in. Your mother uses it to her advantage. She moves through the flooded channels with ease, her body slipping over ground that would normally slow her down. You follow close, learning her path, feeling how she uses every shift in the water to conserve her energy. Somewhere in the distance, a tree falls. The sound is deep, sudden, and final. A crack followed by a crash, then silence. For a moment, even the frogs go quiet. The rain doesn't let up. It comes in waves now, sometimes lighter, almost gentle, then suddenly heavier, pounding the water so hard it feels like the sky is trying to push you under. You stay close to your mother until the flashes in the sky grow fewer, the thunder more distant, the wind calmer. Slowly, the storm begins to fade. The air smells different again, not electric now, but clean, fresh. The swamp is alive, with new scents, new movements. The water is deeper, cooler, and carries the promise of easier hunting in the days to come. You find a patch of still water, the plants already settling back into place. You press your body low, letting the calm return. The rain becomes a soft patter. The heat is gone. The swamp feels lighter. Your eyes close. The storm has passed. Chapter 8, the first dry season. It doesn't happen overnight. The change comes quietly, so slowly that you don't notice it at first. The water feels warmer one day, a little lower the next. The calls of frogs fade. The air smells dustier, drier, carrying fewer of the swamp's rich, earthy scents. The rains simply stop. At first, it's a relief. The sky stays clear for days. The water lies still, unbroken by falling drops. The sun soaks into your skin when you rise to warm yourself, and you drift lazily through open channels without fighting currents. But then, the edges of the swamp begin to change. The shallow pools shrink. The plants that float on their surface wilt, edges curling inward. Thick mats of vegetation begin to collapse in on themselves, their roots hanging limp in air that no longer smells of life. The mud appears. At first, it's just patches, places where the water has pulled back, leaving the ground exposed. But soon, the patches become wide flats. You can smell them from far away, a heavy, sweet, almost sour scent of rotting plants and drying earth. The fish are fewer now, not gone but harder to find. You see them trapped in shrinking pools, moving in frantic circles, their silver sides flashing in the sun. Your mother changes her behaviour. She travels farther, staying near the deeper channels that still hold water. She basks less often, hunts more carefully. You follow her movements, feeling the tension in the way she glides, not hurried, but never wasting a moment. The air grows heavier with heat. Midday is the hardest. The sun sits high, pressing down on the swamp until the water near the surface feels as warm as the air above it. You sink deeper to escape it, your body cooling in the darker, denser water below. Even the nights feel different. The chorus of frogs is quieter. The insects buzz, but without their usual energy. The breeze carries fine dust from the edges of the swamp, clinging to your skin and nostrils. Some nights, you hear movement along the drying banks. Herons walking slow and deliberate, searching for stranded fish. Other predators drawn to the shrinking pools. Your mother keeps you away from them. The smaller the water gets, the more competition there is. By the third week without rain, the land begins to crack. The once soft edges of the swamp harden, breaking into a network of deep lines. The mud that once swallowed your feet now crunches when you cross it. The deep channels still hold enough to hide in, but even they are changing. The water is murkier, thicker, carrying a stronger scent of decay. Small fish feed on whatever they can find. You learn to stay still for long stretches, blending into the shadows until something comes close enough to strike. You realize the swamp is shrinking. It's not dying, just folding in on itself, retreating to the places it can endure. You stay close to your mother. She knows where the deepest pools are, where the shade lasts longest, where the scent of prey still lingers. The heat slows everything. Your breaths come slower. Your heart beats less often. Time stretches out in the dry season. But there is patience in this. You learn that the swamp always changes, and that survival isn't about resisting it, but moving with it. One night, far off in the distance, you see lightning again, a faint flicker on the horizon, too far to bring rain yet, but a reminder that water will return. Until then, you wait, you endure. Chapter 9. The first hunt alone. It happens quietly, not because your mother tells you, but because one night, she simply isn't there when you open your eyes. The moon is high, pale and blurred by thin mist. The swamp is still. You float in the shallows for a while, waiting for her familiar shadow to appear from the deeper channel. But it doesn't. A part of you feels the weight of that absence. Another part feels the pull, a quiet, ancient instinct that now it's your turn. The water is warm against your skin, moving slowly around you. You keep your eyes just above the surface, nostrils barely breaking through. The stillness is your shield. Every breath you take is measured, slow enough that the ripples fade before they spread far. You drift toward a shallow pool. You know this place, you've passed it many times with your mother. Tonight, it feels different. The surface is alive with small movements, ripples darting, splashes too quick to be wind. Fish. They're trapped here, cut off from the deeper channels by the dry season's shrinking water. You see their silver flashes beneath the surface, moving in short, sharp bursts. Your body reacts before you think. You slide lower, letting the water close over your eyes. Vision becomes muted here. Light fractures, shapes distort, but the rest of your senses sharpen. The water carries the vibrations of every movement. Each flick of a fin sends a faint tremor through the liquid around you. You glide forward, slow, slower. You can feel your tail coiling ever so slightly, ready to release its power in a single surge. One fish breaks from the group, moving toward the far edge of the pool. You adjust your angle, keeping just enough distance to stay invisible in the murk. You know now patience is the difference between catching a meal and chasing it away. The fish hesitates, turning in a lazy arc. Its body brushes a floating leaf, sending a tiny pulse through the water. You strike. The stillness breaks in an instant. Your tail explodes into motion, propelling your body forward with a force that feels older than thought. Your jaws close around the fish in a sudden snap, the vibration of bone against bone, the rush of struggling muscle. And then, silence again. You rise slowly, lifting just enough of your head above the surface to swallow. The fish is gone, its energy now moving through you. It's not much, not a feast, but it is yours. The first meal you've taken without her. You drift back into the shadows, letting your body sink until you're completely hidden. Your breathing slows again, the ripples fade. You wait, knowing there will be other movements in the water tonight. Small ones, larger ones. The hunt is never over in the swamp. It simply stretches on, one silent approach after another. And as you lie there, still as the mud beneath you, you realize something. Hunting alone isn't just about catching food. It's about becoming part of the water. Invisible, patient, eternal. Chapter 10. The first encounter with humans. The day starts like any other. Heat builds early, thick and heavy, pressing down on the water until it feels like the air itself has sunk beneath the surface. You drift in the shade, pressed against the bank, where overhanging roots tangle into the water. The light here is fractured narrow beams slipping between leaves, breaking into golden shards that dance across your skin. Your eyes rest just above the surface, unmoving, watching, waiting. Then, a sound you do not know. It doesn't come from the water, or the wind, or the slow groaning of trees in the heat. This sound is sharper, rhythmical. A steady thump, thump, followed by a low hum, unlike the voice of any bird or beast you've heard before. The vibrations reach you first, faint tremors passing through the water and into your jaw. They don't move like fish or herons. They're heavier, more deliberate. You hold still. From between the reeds, you see movement. Not smooth like a swimming animal, not fluttering like an insect. These shapes are upright, split into two narrow limbs that touch the ground, and two more that swing or carry long objects. They are tall, taller than anything in the swamp except the trees. Their bodies are covered not in scales, not in fur, but in strange second skins that don't ripple or shift with the wind. You hear them speak to each other, not calls, not warnings, but patterns of sound strung together in quick bursts. One voice rises, the other answers. The noises feel alien, without the pauses and silences that animals use to listen. They come closer. You slide deeper into the water, letting the surface close over your eyes. Vision dims, sound changes. The swamp's muffled underwater hum returns, but their presence above is still clear, heavy splashes as they step near the bank, the creak of something wooden being dragged into place. Then, another sound. A splash, but not from movement something entering the water. You taste it instantly. Strange, metallic, unlike anything from the swamp. Your body stiffens. They stand near the shallows now, looking into the water as if searching. One of them points. The other lifts the long object it carries. It glints in the sun, a brightness you have never seen in nature. The instinct to sink away pulls at you, but something older, deeper, holds you still. Curiosity. You've seen fish, birds, turtles, but never these. They are not hunting like herons. They are not waiting like crocodiles. They are doing something else entirely. The taller one steps closer to the water's edge. The mud sucks at his feet, but he doesn't stop. He peers down, eyes sweeping the shallows. For a moment, you think they might see you, and then a voice calls from farther away. They turn, answer, and slowly step back from the water. The long object lowers. The strange noises fade into distance. You stay perfectly still until the swamp returns to its normal sounds. Only then do you rise again, eyes breaking the surface. The place where they stood is empty. Now only soft footprints in the mud remain, slowly filling with water. You don't know what they were. You only know that they do not move like anything else in this swamp. And something tells you this will not be the last time you see them. Chapter 11. Claiming a Territory. It begins without ceremony. No roar, no fight, no grand announcement to the swamp. Just you, and the water you've decided to make yours. You've grown larger now. Your body moves with more weight, more confidence. The days of drifting aimlessly in your mother's shadow are far behind you. The swamp is not a mystery anymore, it's a map you've memorized. Each bend of the channels, each fallen log, each shallow where the minnows scatter like silver rain. You choose your place carefully. Not too far from the deeper waters where you can vanish in a single glide. Not too close to the open marsh, where herons and storks see everything. Here, the water is dark and slow. The mud banks are steep and shaded by heavy branches. Insects skim the surface, leaving tiny ripples that fade almost before they form. You slide under the low canopy of overhanging roots. This is where you will rest, where you will wait, where you will watch. But a territory is more than a place to lie in the sun. It is a boundary invisible to most, but alive in your mind. You patrol it slowly at first. Moving at dawn, before the first light sharpens into heat, you glide along the edges, your body half hidden by water hyacinths. You memorize the scents in the air, the trails in the mud, the familiar patterns of movement from every fish and bird that lives here. When something changes, a floating branch caught in a new place, the sudden absence of a certain fish, the faint musk of another crocodile's passing, and when you sense that presence, that slow, heavy glide that is not yours, you respond without hesitation. Not by chasing, not by biting, not yet. You simply rise. Your head lifts above the water, your body still as stone, eyes fixed on the intruder. You do not blink, you do not move. This is enough. Most turn away, melting back into the channels, not willing to test what might happen next. But sometimes one will stay. And then the stillness becomes a contest. Two bodies in the water, unmoving, separated by just enough distance to strike. The air between you feels tight. Time stretches. One slow blink. Two. Until, finally, one of you sinks beneath the surface and vanishes. You know the truth. Territories aren't won in a single moment. They are maintained every day. By being here, by watching, by making sure your presence is felt even when you're invisible. When the sun climbs high, you haul yourself onto the bank, muscles working like coiled ropes under your skin. You rest in the heat, eyes half closed, mouth slightly open to cool your blood. From here, you can see your stretch of water, the bend in the channel, the patch of floating lilies, the muddy slope where you slipped into the shallows this morning. It is yours. And as you lie there, breathing slow, listening to the constant hum of insects and the distant calls of birds, you realize something. This isn't just where you live, it's where you decide who you are. where every ripple and shadow speaks your name, even if no one else in the swamp can hear it. Chapter 12. The Long Dry Season. The air changes before the water does. It grows thicker, heavier, as if every breath carries a little more weight than the last. The mornings lose their cool edge. Even before the sun rises, the heat is waiting, pressing against your scales. The sky turns pale, washed out, almost brittle. Clouds disappear. The wind softens until it is barely there at all, just a lazy stir of air that carries dust instead of rain. And then, the water begins to leave. It happens slowly, so slowly you almost don't notice at first. The banks creep inward, the edges of your swamp shrinking day by day. Patches of mud appear where there was once dark, quiet depth. Channels grow shallow, the bottom brushing against your belly as you pass. Fish begin to vanish, not because they are gone, but because they are hiding deeper, pressed into the last cool pockets. The herons leave. The frogs grow silent. Even the hum of insects changes a thinner, drier sound. You know this rhythm. The long dry season is not new. You've felt its weight before, but never from this side of life, never as the one who must hold territory when the water itself is slipping away. You adapt. You move less. You find the deepest place in your stretch of water and claim it like a fortress. The roots of an old tree curl down into the bank here, holding the mud in place. The water is cooler, the shade constant. You settle beneath the surface, your body still, your eyes closed. The heat tries to pull you upward, toward the sun's burning glare, but you resist. Up there, the air steals moisture from your skin. Up there, the light exposes you. Down here, you can wait. Days pass without a meal. Hunger comes, but it is a slow, dull ache, now a companion you recognize. Your muscles grow leaner, but your patience grows sharper. Sometimes, in the evenings, you rise just enough to break the surface. The swamp smells different now. Dry mud, dust from faraway grasslands, the faint sourness of water that has been sitting too long. Once, you hear movement at the bank. A warthog, thin and restless, comes to drink. It hesitates, its ears flicking, sensing something it can't see. Your body tenses, every muscle waiting for the perfect moment. But then, the sound of hooves fades. It's gone. You sink back into the depth, letting the chance pass. This is the dry season's lesson. Not every opportunity is worth the energy it costs. Here, survival is not about constant action. It's about conserving what little strength you have until it matters most. And so, you wait. The days bleed into each other. The heat presses closer. The water grows smaller, warmer, heavier, with life that has nowhere else to go. You do not fight the season. You do not try to change it. You endure it. Chapter 13. The First Big Flood. It begins as a sound, faint, distant, almost like wind at first, but not wind, something deeper, heavier. It's the sound of rain before it touches the ground. You lift your head just above the waterline. The air feels different, cooler, restless, charged with a taste you remember but haven't felt in months. The scent is sharp and metallic, drifting over the swamp in a low, rolling wave. Then, the sky opens. At first, it's a drizzle, soft enough to blur the surface into a gentle ripple. But within moments, the drizzle becomes a downpour. The rain hits the water hard, each drop a tiny drumbeat. The sound is constant, endless, a blanket of noise that swallows the silence of the dry season. The first channels to fill are the shallow ones. You can hear the water rushing in from far away, dragging silt and leaves and the smell of new life with it. The banks that had crept inward for weeks now vanish beneath the rising edges. And then, the flood comes. Not just water movement. The swamp is no longer still. Every pool, every channel, every hidden path beneath the roots begins to pulse with a living current. Your body wakes in a way it hasn't for months. The cool water wraps around you, lifting you, carrying you. The ache of the dry season is rinsed from your skin, from your muscles, from the mud in your throat. Life returns quickly. Fish push upstream in silver flashes. Frogs sing again, their voices sharp and insistent. Birds return, tracing patterns across the rain-soaked sky. Insects rise in clouds, their bodies trembling with the heat that now feeds them. You move differently now, faster, stronger, no longer conserving every bit of energy. You explore the edges of your territory, as if rediscovering them for the first time. The places that had been too shallow to cross are open again, paths you can follow deep into the swamp's new heart. But the flood is more than freedom. It's a warning. The water brings life, but it also brings strangers. Other crocodiles slip into your channels, drawn by the same pull of fresh currents and new hunting grounds. Some are small enough to ignore, others you cannot. You meet one at the far edge of your territory. The two of you hover in the water, rain pounding your backs, neither willing to move first. You do not need to fight, not yet. The flood will decide how much space there is for both of you. When the rain finally eases, the swamp is transformed. The water is high, dark, and alive. The air is thick with the scent of wet earth. The heat is softer now, the days balanced by cool nights that steam with the breath of new growth. You sink beneath the surface, letting the current carry you for a moment. This is not the stillness of the dry season. This is movement without effort. This is the feeling of the swamp breathing again. You know it won't last forever. But for now, you are part of something bigger than territory, bigger than hunger, bigger than survival. You are part of the flood. Chapter 14, First Real Hunt. The flood has transformed everything. The water is higher, wider, and teeming with life that pulses beneath the surface like a hidden current. You drift slowly, barely moving, your body almost invisible beneath the dark water. Your eyes scan the shifting shapes around you. Schools of fish glimmering like liquid silver, frogs diving into shadowy pools, and birds skimming the water's surface. Your senses sharpen. The slightest ripple, the faintest vibration, the subtlest shift in the current all become messages, whispered secrets of the swamp's hidden movements. Ahead, a large fish breaks the surface briefly, sending concentric circles across the calm water. It pauses near a cluster of floating plants, its scales catching the fractured light. Your tail tightens, muscles coiling like a spring. Time slows. You remember everything your mother has taught you, patience beyond understanding, the art of stillness, the power in waiting. Your body is a perfect weapon, designed for this moment. You don't chase, you don't rush, you wait. The fish moves again, unaware of the shadow lurking beneath. You follow every flick of its fins, every breath it takes, every slight change in the water's surface. Then, the moment comes. With a sudden, explosive motion, your tail sweeps behind you. The water explodes in a burst of bubbles and spray. You surge forward with the power of a thunderclap, jaws snapping closed around the fish. The struggle is brief, but fierce. The fish thrashes, but you hold firm, teeth locked, muscles squeezing. Slowly, the fight fades. You lift your head above the water, nostrils flaring as you gulp down your first real meal. The taste is sharp and fresh, life itself flowing through you. For a moment, you float in the calm after the storm, letting the water cradle your body, letting the flood carry away the echoes of the hunt. This is survival. This is power. This is the life you were born into. And as the floodwaters pulse around you, you know there will be many more hunts. Slow, patient, perfect. Chapter 15. Learning to defend your catch. You have the prize. The fish lies heavy in your jaws, its life surrendered to your patience and power. But the swamp does not forget, not so easily. Around you, the water hums with silent watchers, other creatures drawn by the scent of your catch. the promise of an easy meal left unattended. Your senses sharpen again. You feel at first a ripple that doesn't belong to the wind or passing insects, a shift in the water's surface just beyond your vision. The scent grows stronger, not just fish. Something larger. You lift your head slightly, eyes scanning the dark water. A shape moves toward you, sleek and fast, cutting through the shadows with a predator's purpose. Another crocodile. You recognize the posture: slow, deliberate, testing. Not an immediate challenge, but a warning. Your body tightens instinctively. You are new to this, but your blood remembers the ancient dance of territory and survival. You do not abandon your meal. You do not flee. Instead, you move, slowly, deliberately. You shift your position, pressing the catch closer to your chest, moving toward the deeper water where you have more room to maneuver. Your opponent watches, eyes gleaming just above the surface. A silent standoff unfolds, a test of will, of strength, of patience. The other croc circles, looking for an opening. You hold your ground, muscles coiled, breath steady. The water ripples softly as your tail sweeps behind you. A warning, a promise. For now, the challenge remains unspoken. You know the fight will come sooner or later, but tonight is not that night. The other croc slips away, melting into the darkness. You are alone again, the water cool against your skin, the catch still yours. You settle in the deeper water, jaws closing gently around your meal. This is a lesson learned. Early survival is not just about hunting, but about guarding what you have earned. The swamp whispers around you, alive with unseen eyes and quiet hunger, and you are learning to be both hunter and protector patient. Silent, powerful. Chapter 16. The Rise of the Young Crocodile. You are no longer the small, uncertain hatchling pushed along by your mother's presence. You are becoming something more. The days stretch long and heavy, filled with the slow rhythms of the swamp, the warm sunlight filtering through the canopy, the gentle ripple of water against mud, the soft chorus of insects and distant birds. Your body has grown stronger. Your movements carry more purpose. No longer do you drift aimlessly in the shallows. Instead, you glide with intention, exploring the edges of your domain with quiet curiosity. Each new bend in the channel reveals a world waiting to be understood. A submerged log hides fish beneath its shadow. A cluster of reeds rustles softly, disturbed by something unseen. The scent of fresh earth and green leaves fills the air after a brief afternoon shower. You learn the secret languages of the swamp, the way the water changes when a predator passes, the subtle shift in temperature when rain is coming, the faint smell that signals food nearby. With every day, your confidence grows. You stretch your territory farther, venturing into pools that once felt too deep or channels too wide. And with confidence comes a quiet power. Other crocodiles recognize it, the steady pulse of someone who belongs here, who knows the rhythms and rules. They do not always welcome you. Territory is hard won, and respect is earned slowly. But you have learned patience. You have learned when to wait, and you have learned when to act. In the heat of midday, you find a sunny bank and haul yourself onto the mud. The warmth soaks into your scales, tightening your muscles and sharpening your senses. Here, in the sun, you can rest. Here, you can watch your world. The surface of the water shimmers with movement. A flock of birds lifts suddenly from the reeds, startled by something below. You remain still, silent, the master of your domain. And as the sun begins to set, painting the sky in shades of orange and purple, you slip back into the water. The swamp is yours to explore, yours to defend, and yours to survive. Chapter 17. The Call of Mating Season. The swamp changes again, though you hardly notice at first. The days remain long, the sun still warm on your scales, but something shifts beneath the surface. A subtle stirring, a new rhythm pulsing through the water and air. You sense it in the currents, in the scent of the damp earth, in the low, distant sounds that ripple through the swamp like whispered secrets. It is the call of the mating season. Your body responds in ways you don't fully understand yet, an ancient instinct awakening deep inside your bones. The air grows thick with the scent of damp moss and blossoming plants, mingling with the familiar odours of mud and decay. At night, low sounds echo across the water deep, vibrating bellows that seem to resonate with the pulse of the swamp itself. Your mother's call was different. It was a quiet presence, a shield against danger. But this is something new. You feel the vibrations through the water as you float beneath the surface, nostrils just above, eyes sharp and alert. Other crocodiles join the chorus. Males bellow, their voices carrying far in the humid night, a challenge and an invitation all at once. You hear them before you see them, echoes bouncing between trees, over water, into the dark. The sounds are both thrilling and unsettling. You know the stakes without understanding them fully. This is a time of contest, of claim, of change. Your body moves differently now. Muscles coil tighter, senses sharpen further. You begin to patrol your territory more often, not just to protect, but to show presence. The water feels charged with possibility. At times, you find yourself watching other crocodiles, some familiar, others new, their movements graceful yet purposeful. There is tension beneath the stillness, a dance of power and patience. One night, a distant roar pierces the usual chorus. You tilt your head, nostrils flaring, senses reaching for the source. The mating calls carry weight, a promise of life, survival, and the endless cycle that has defined your kind for millions of years. You drift beneath the moonlight, the swamp alive around you, and though you do not yet join the chorus, you feel yourself pulled toward it, toward the next chapter of your life, chapter 18, the rituals of courtship. The swamp feels alive in a way it never has before. The air hangs thick with anticipation, heavy and warm, as if every creature knows something is shifting beneath the surface. You move slowly through the water, senses sharpened, nostrils barely breaking the surface. Around you, the chorus of bellows continues, low, resonant calls echoing through the humid night, rippling over the water like waves. You watch, you listen, you wait. Courtship here is quiet, patient, and deeply ancient. It is a dance without music, a ritual of presence and power. You see a male rise slowly from the depths, his head breaking the surface with deliberate grace. His eyes meet yours for a fleeting moment, sharp, calculating, aware. He lowers his head and emits a deep, rolling bellow that vibrates through the water and air alike. The sound is a statement, an invitation, a challenge. You respond with your own low growl, barely more than a ripple in the water, but enough to declare you are here, you are watching. Nearby, another pair begins their own ritual. The female floats close, her body relaxed but alert. The male circles her slowly, tail sweeping the water in gentle arcs, careful not to rush or overwhelm. The courtship is slow, measured in moments and movements. Every glance, every shift of the body carries meaning. The water between them is alive with tension and promise. You understand that this is not just about survival, it is about connection, about continuing a line older than the swamp itself. The moonlight glints off the male's scales as he nudges the female, careful, deliberate. She responds by sliding closer, their bodies brushing beneath the surface. There is no rush, no haste, just the quiet rhythm of two ancient creatures moving in harmony. You watch until the pair slips beneath the water, disappearing into the shadows. The night stretches on, the sounds of the swamp weaving a tapestry of life, patience, and hope. And as you float silently, the weight of the season settles over you, a call not just to action, but to understanding. You are part of this cycle now. The dance of the swamp, the eternal rhythm of life. Chapter 19, The Waiting Game. The days stretch long and slow. Time seems to bend and fold beneath the heavy canopy of the swamp, moving at its own ancient pace. You find yourself drawn into a rhythm of waiting, not idle, waiting something deeper. A steady, alert patience that carries the weight of survival and possibility. Your body rests low in the water, muscles loose but ready. Eyes just above the surface scan the shifting light, catching every movement, every shadow. The swamp is alive with sounds, distant bellows, the soft splash of fish, the whisper of wind through the reeds. But beneath the noise, there is stillness. You become part of that stillness, invisible, silent, unmoving. Hours pass, maybe days. The boundaries of your territory hold steady, marked not just by water and mud, but by your presence. You sense others nearby, potential rivals, possible mates, their movements just beyond your reach. You watch. You learn. You wait. The sun rises and falls. Light fades into twilight, and the swamp transforms again. Shadows lengthen, coolness returns, and still you wait. In this waiting, you feel the pulse of the swamp, the subtle shifts in temperature, the change in sense, the ripple of water that tells stories of movement far away. This is the game you have learned to play. Not by rushing, not by striking first, but by understanding the silence between moments. The waiting game is hard. It asks for strength you cannot see. It demands vigilance without exhaustion. But you endure, because you know that when the moment comes, it will be yours to claim. For now, you drift beneath the moonlight, the water cradling your body like a slow, steady breath, and the swamp watches with you. Chapter 20. The Power of Stillness. Stillness is your greatest weapon. More than teeth, more than speed, more than size. You have learned to become invisible, not by hiding behind leaves or mud, but by becoming part of the water itself. Your body floats just beneath the surface, motionless. Your eyes peer through the dark glass, scanning without shifting. Your breath is slow, deliberate nostrils barely breaking the waterline, muscles relaxed but ready. The swamp moves around you. Leaves drift gently on the current. Insects skim the water's surface, their reflections flickering like tiny ghosts. A single drop falls from a branch, rippling outward in perfect circles. You do not move. The stillness is deep. It wraps around you like a cloak. You are both part of the swamp and apart from it. You feel every vibration, every pulse in the water. A fish's faint movement, a bird's soft call, the subtle shift of the wind through the reeds. In this silence, you hold power. You command the water without a sound. You wait, patient and unyielding, and when the moment comes, it will be swift and unstoppable. For now, you drift, wrapped in the calm rhythm of the swamp, your mind quiet, your body still. This is the strength that has carried your kind through millions of years. The power found not in motion, but in waiting. Chapter 21. The Changing Tides. The swamp breathes with you. Its pulse is slow, steady, a rhythm older than time itself. But nothing here stays the same. The water begins to shift, moving with a purpose you can feel beneath your skin. Currents turn and twist, carrying new scents and stirring the sediment below. The wind picks up gently, rustling leaves and sending soft waves across the surface. Light fractures into sparkling shards that dance and shimmer, shifting the colours around you. You float through it all, senses alert but calm, watching as the swamp's face changes before your eyes. Fish dart in new patterns, exploring flooded banks and fresh channels. Birds call more loudly, their voices bright against the deepening green. Insects buzz with renewed energy, weaving thick clouds that settle over the water. The air grows heavy with the scent of blooming plants and wet earth. You glide toward the shore, where the water laps against muddy banks now softened by recent rains. The ground is slick beneath your claws, and the smell of fresh growth fills your nostrils. The tides are turning. What was once dry and silent now hums with life. You can feel it in your bones, the energy of change. The swamp is waking from its long rest, and so are you. You move with the flow, body loose and ready, eyes scanning the shifting landscape. The cycle continues: flood, drought, growth, and stillness, a dance you know by heart. And as the tides change, so do you. You are part of this ancient rhythm, a creature of water and earth, patient, powerful, alive. Chapter 22. The Return of the Young. The swamp's rhythm is unbroken. Life flows in circles, endless, patient, ancient. You sense it before you see it. A fresh scent on the wind, earthy, warm, and new. The nest calls again. You watch from your place in the water as small ripples form near the bank. The surface breaks gently, and tiny shapes emerge, newborns, just like you once were. Their bodies glisten with fresh scales, their eyes wide and curious. They chirp softly, the sound both fragile and fierce, a promise of life continuing. The young gather, wobbling awkwardly as they explore the edges of their new world. Their movements are uncertain, but their instincts are strong. You remember those first moments, the struggle to break free, the rush to water, the weight of survival pressing down from the very beginning. Now, you watch as they begin their own journey, fragile yet unyielding. The swamp embraces them as it did you. The water holds their small bodies, the mud cushions their steps, and the reeds whisper secrets of safety and danger alike. You drift close, observing with quiet patience. The world you know is new to them, full of mysteries to uncover and challenges to face. You sense their mothers nearby, guarding, watching, teaching the ways of the swamp, the rhythms of hunting, hiding, and enduring. The young are fearless, unknowing of the long road ahead. But the swamp does not hurry. It waits. And so do you. You watch as they take their first dives, their small tails flicking in awkward strokes. You listen to their soft calls blending with the chorus of the swamp. The cycle continues, life feeding life, old making way for new. And though you are stronger now, more patient, more sure, you feel the same pulse in your chest. The pulse of survival, the pulse of belonging, the pulse of the swamp itself. Chapter 23. The Lessons of the Ancients. You have seen much in your time beneath the water's surface. The swamp is a place of endless stories, whispered by the rustling reeds, carried on the slow currents, etched in the scars of the ancient creatures who move silently around you. You are young, yet the weight of ages settles upon you. You feel it in your bones, in the slow, steady beat of your heart, in the quiet wisdom carried on the wind. The elders, those crocodiles, worn by time and battle, move with a grace born of patience. Their eyes have seen floods and droughts, births and deaths, the shifting of territory and the return of the young. You watch one such elder resting on a sun-warmed bank. His scales are rough, marked with scars like faded maps. His gaze is calm, steady, as if he carries the swamp itself within him. From him, you learn that strength is not just muscle and speed. It is endurance. It is silence. It is the quiet power to wait, to watch, to understand. The swamp teaches you too through every ripple, every whisper of wind, every change in the water. It teaches that life is a cycle without end. That survival is not a race, but a journey measured in patience and presence. You feel connected to the water, the earth, the creatures around you, and to those who came before. The lessons are simple but profound. Move with the rhythm of the swamp, respect the currents and the silence, honor the balance between hunter and hunted. You carry these lessons as you glide through your territory, the water flowing past your scales like a gentle song. And in this stillness, you find peace. Not the peace of surrender, but the peace of knowing. The swamp is old. You are part of its endless story. Chapter 24. The Long Night. The world grows quiet. Not empty, but hushed, as if the swamp itself is holding its breath. The sun has long since dipped below the horizon. leaving only the soft glow of the moon to cast silver light over the water. You float beneath the surface, your body still and steady, nostrils just breaking the mirror-like water. The air is cool now, carrying the faint scent of wet earth and distant blossoms. Around you, the night sings its subtle song, a chorus of insects, frogs, and the rustling of unseen creatures moving through the reeds. Your eyes adjust to the darkness, catching faint shapes, shifting gently beneath the surface. The water feels alive with mystery, both familiar and new. You drift slowly, feeling the cool current wrap around you like a gentle embrace. Time stretches and softens in the night. The tension of the day fades, replaced by a calm deeper than thought. Even the sounds seem slower, each insect's call spaced wider apart, each ripple fading into silence before the next begins. You find a shallow bank and haul yourself onto the soft mud, the cool earth pressing against your belly. The stars overhead shimmer faintly through the canopy, distant fires of light in the vast sky. You close your eyes, letting the long night settle over you. There is peace here, not just the absence of noise, but a presence. The swamp watches, waits, and breathes, and so do you. In the stillness of the long night, you become one with the ancient rhythms of this place. Chapter 25. The Endless Cycle. The swamp does not end. It flows beyond the edges of your sight, beyond the stretch of water you call home. Life here is a circle without beginning or end, a rhythm that pulses through every ripple, every leaf, every heartbeat. You have lived many days beneath this sun and moon. You have learned to move with the currents, to wait in silence, to claim your place in the water. The young have returned. The elders still watch. The waters rise and fall, carrying the stories of countless generations. You feel the weight of all that time in your bones, the lessons passed down in quiet moments, the strength born of patience and presence. And now, as the night deepens and your breath slows, you understand that you are not just a creature of the swamp. You are part of its endless story. The cycle continues. You float into stillness, cradled by the water that has always held you. And with the steady pulse of the swamp around you, you rest. Thank you for joining this journey through the life of a crocodile. If you found this experience informative and relaxing, consider liking the video. Leave a comment letting us know where you're listening from and what animal you'd like to explore next. Subscribe to stay updated on upcoming immersive animal POV stories. We look forward to bringing you another detailed life experience soon. Good night.